Alright, so I did this video because I've gotten asked a couple times on how do I install the Basecamp Kilo Sling. If you've seen stories, you've seen posts, this is by far my favorite sling. It holds the sling nice and compressed against the rifle. So if you're doing vehicle stuff, whether you're a patrol cop or you're plain clothes with a rifle stashed between the center console and the seat, whatever. If this rifle is coming in and out of the vehicle often, that sling being not a crazy mess is beneficial because you don't want that sling catching on steering wheel, gear shifters, whatever that's in the car. If it's something that's protruding from the vehicle, the body of the car, it's going to catch on something if it's just this big loose baggy sling. So Basecamp Kilo for me has done the best, better than any other sling that I've tried. So I'm really happy with their sling. Lots of people have bought them based on my recommendation. I invariably, every single class I teach, somebody comes up, hey, I bought this sling, I'm not sure how to install it. So here's a real quick video on installing the Basecamp Kilo sling. Right. So I like the mod 1, which is the tailless, because again, it's less stuff hanging around. So this is a Viking Tactics, great sling. This is what would be considered a tail, right? So this is one of the newer ones. It's got a little Velcro thing to hang on. But this is the tail, right? That tail, I mean, if you're not going to be adjusting your sling and you're not willing to cut it to fit, this tail can get pretty long. So we're going to be replacing this sling with a nice trim Basecamp Kilo sling. These are all rifles of my kids or my wife. Finally upgrading the slings on their guns. So first thing first, we're going to take that Viking Tactics sling off, steal the QD swivel from it. Now, what I was using before Basecamp Kilo slings, as you can see, you'll put like Ranger bands. There's like the Sentry strap from Neomag. There's a bunch of options out there. One of the best things I found was using just a simple G-hook. Very similar to it. There's some slings on the market using something similar as well. And the G-hook can then get looped and tightened against the sling. But, it walks out, it slips out, and it doesn't always stay where it is, which is kind of the big selling point for the Basecamp Kilo sling. Right, so, first out with this one, no QD point on the back, so we're going to run it right through the buttstock itself. For this, the handle, tailless end, okay, there's no buckle, there's no hardware. This is going to go towards your forend, right? So where the tag is, that goes towards the forend. The back part by your buttstock is going to be where you see kind of the female end of the Fast X buckle, okay? So first I would go ahead, if you take a look at this before you just yank all this stuff out, okay? This is what you're looking for as far as setup goes, whether it's a QD point or just using on your buttstock or using some 550 cord. Take note of how that looks, because that's what's going to help. That's the problem most people run into is where to put this Fast X buckle once it's on there. It's really simple if you take a look at it beforehand. So, alright. So one thing with buttstocks, for me, helps me lay it out and make sure that I'm configuring everything the right way, so I don't put it on and then my sling's got some funky twist in it that I wasn't expecting. So I like always go on the opposite side of where my cheek is. So right-handed shooter from the opposite side of the stock, so the left side. All right, so you can see this, right? Don't forget to put this tri-glide on as well first. I'm going to run this through. I want to leave enough room, enough slack, because I'm going to be bringing this tail back. I'm going to run this through just like you would a normal sling, but I have this extra long tail. And the extra long tail is going to be, again, for the female portion of the Fast X buckle. These ones come, it's the cut throughs, so if you don't weave it through, it's fine. You can actually just loop it through. And then you're gonna weave this back and put it back to the tri-glide. And that's gonna be your end point. You might need to adjust this a little bit. Most people try to do a little too short. For me, I don't want the tri-glide in the middle of the buttstock, okay? Because of this gun, with its slung, and the sling is stowed, I want to be able to run this gun well with the sling even attached, you know. So I don't want to have this tri-glide stuck right in the back between my shoulder and the buttstock. So either for this one, you really need to make it long enough so that you're going to get it past. So I'm going to probably give it a little more space as well than it is. So again, you might just have to play with length a little bit here. All right, so again, I went for something right about there for me. So I like it. So I'm gonna take this tri-glide. I'm gonna weave it through. Again, I'm gonna put it back through that. I'm taking the fastest buckle. I'm gonna weave it back to the tri-glide. In my experience, you don't need a ton of overlap on this back end because it's triple through the tri-glide. It's pretty tight. So you want to end up like this, okay? So again, tri-glide through, fastest buckle. There's this loop that you've now attached. It's coming up and through. Now another piece that was added, the original sling, this tri-glide would kind of bounce everywhere. And a few times it would bounce, get stuck in between my shoulder pocket and the stock. It would dangle and bounce on things. So some feedback came up with this nice little elastic band. The elastic band is going to keep that tri-glide in place. I'm sorry, the fast legs buckle in place. It's not going to affect the operation of the sling, but it's going to keep that buckle down along the sling. All right, now next, attach that. Attach the fast legs buckle together. So this is going to be your extra portion right here. This is the part that's going to be you're going to tuck in. This is the part that's going to give you all your actual slack when you want to use the sling. Now the other end, again, you want to pull out that tri-glide. Stack of QDs here. Feed this through. Again, you might have to play with the lengths. And one thing, for most people, I know it's hard. You don't want to cut your slings. Sometimes you gotta cut your slings. So, all right. So as you can see, it's holding it nice and tight. We can cinch it down a little bit more. So it holds the sling nice and tight. So that gun is in the vehicle or whatever. Okay, and it comes out, this sling is not gonna bounce around and catch anything. Now we have this tail here, this leftover, this is the slack. So when we want to deploy it, right, we're hitting that fast X buckle, clipping it up. Now the sling's nice and wide. You can go over top. I've adjusted a little bit for my kid because he's only 14, he's not as thick as me, so it's probably a little long for him. So we'll make some adjustments later. But now that tail, so we don't have a bunch of extra slack just bouncing around, what I do is before I'll usually click that fast X buckle in. I will cinch down the sling, so cinch it all the way down, undo the fast X buckle. Then we're going to S-fold this slack through this little elastic loop down here on the bottom of the sling. I usually just double it up all the way through once, all the way through back. So now setup on this is probably longer than, it's definitely longer than like the G-hook I was using, or maybe Ranger bands you have on your stock or whatever. But I'm trying to get it all nice and even, perfect, because again, now this rifle, all set up with this sling nice and tight in place. That sling is not going anywhere. all right, until you hit that fast X buckle and it completely unwinds. Again, standard sling, right? We can still adjust this. So if we wanted to really quickly pull this gun out, we want to loosen up that sling, and we want to just mount it on the back, go, you know, whatever, climbing over a fence or whatever. There's still some movement in there that you can actually do that without completely undoing the fast X, and you can then tighten the sling back up and you're right back where you started. Still manage safety, you know, just slide that thumb up underneath. Everything else is going to work just fine as if the sling wasn't there. But again, it's not going to come out, it's not going to come loose, and that's why it's my go-to sling. If you guys have any questions, drop them below. I got 3 more rifles to set up with these new slings. But again, if you're a copper, even if you just want to organize your safe with your slings, this is a much better look as far in the safe. You got extra slings hanging around. It keeps everything organized as well. So that's another option if you're looking for something just to keep your safe organized and your slings are, you don't want to be taking your slings off all the time. This will keep the slings nice and streamlined so they're not getting in the way, tripping. You're not pulling one rifle out and pulling 3 more because the sling got wrapped around and stuff. So again, if you have any more questions, send me a DM, drop the comments below, and I'll do the best I can to answer them. Thanks for watching.